It's Dawn coming in.
Good morning.
Dawn.
Morning, Mark. Sorry, I'm slurping my tea.
Okay, we can be a little bit unprofessional at this time of the day, but it all adds to the ambience. It's just off the cuff chat, and this has been all the way through. We're on episode 89.
I don't realise that this is our morning chat as we get up.
I just said to you, I started talking to you. It's a mistake because it works better, I think. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think when I don't know what I'm going to get from you. So when I start talking about why I got up at 5:30 and my brain was working and stuff like that, it doesn't add to it really. I've already forgotten. I'd forgotten last night what we were going to talk about, so that was what was going around in my head, even though I'd made a note. So I had to get up. Frightening, isn't it? Yeah. What was the question you were asking me? And I said, don't. I was asking you, and I said, don't reply. Can't even remember what that was. And that was 5 minutes.
Oh, for goodness sake! Now I'm having them because you told me to forget it. I did.
It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not good. It wasn't very exciting. Whatever you think.
No. So got some bits and bobs, a whole mixture of stuff to talk about. I am struggling for subjects though, but until we get to the final few, well, I've got some ideas for the final few. But as I say, it's episode 89. We're going to go to 100. The music contest, no change in the leaderboard because nobody got it yesterday. You said it was 4 notes. Steve Fury said it was 2 notes. I'm going to. I thought they might get it, but
well, Steve Fury is very argumentative, isn't he?
Well, I don't know, not any more than you, by your standards. No, right? Okay, here we go. Here's the music. I want the crikey! I've got to go back to remind people what the link is. The link with Girls Aloud Jump. Okay, here we go. I wonder if we ever get anybody else will get the music other than the big 4. Here you go.
Well, I think he might have got 6 notes then.
Enough, do you think?
Yeah, that'll be enough. Let them struggle. You have to struggle to find something for them to come, this competition. So let them struggle a little bit. It'll be fine.
I think if I went a fraction further, we'll do that tomorrow.
Well, let's see if we have a double rollover. We're aiming for 4.
I just keep thinking of Rock and Roll Part 2 by...
it's a very similar start, isn't it?
Yeah, as in the Joker. But we won't talk about the person whose song it was. But anyway. Okay, a bit of feedback. It struck a... Matt has come to life on the feedback front. He's really...
I think anyone who deals with social media, I'll have to say this, Grazia was saying the same thing, that she'd set up her Facebook account and you get abuse, then you do have to monitor it. But isn't it sad? Isn't it really sad that people are, they haven't got anything nice to say. They just want to, sound off in their own opinions, etc. And I just think...
Yeah.
And then, of course, you land up taking away things from people who obviously might benefit from it. But I think if people are if they're negative towards me, I get depressed. It's awful, really, but I do.
Well, not totally depressed, but yeah, I know what you
mean. No, not like I need real help, but it just it weighs me down. I should say weighs me down rather than depressed. Weighs me down, and I think, oh, for goodness sake, what is the matter with you?
Well, Matt runs some Facebook groups. He cannot believe the keyboard warriors out there that disgust him. There's plenty of abuse online. It's really odd, but he has some admin people to help him, but he's still amazed what gets through sometimes. But anyway, interestingly, I saw Katie Hopkins, who's quite a divisive character, put it that way, was banned from Twitter yesterday. And she has comment on all sorts of subjects and very right-wing, I think she's described as. But yeah, Twitter actually banned somebody, so must have got a
I,
lot.
I, I do think the government will sort of like putting more pressure on people who run these sites, etc. That you shouldn't allow anyone just to post anything that they feel. I mean, yeah, child pornography. I can't even say the word. That's me. I mean that okay is banned, etc. But I mean there are other things that should be banned as well. I mean this be nice, be kind to people seems to have missed people's makeup for whatever reason. I don't know, or perhaps they think that they can destroy something. I don't know.
Well, even the ants aren't social distancing in Matt's 6-year-old daughter's world. So yeah, there's all sorts of strange behaviour going on. That was another bit.
Ants are allowed. They're not apparently carriers. They're all right.
Now, what we got? Graham Saker was very complimentary about my jokes delivery.
Yeah.
The problem with that?
You see, boys all stick together, you see. This is the thing, isn't it?
Grazia agreed with my point about not allowing anonymity or social media. But playing devil's advocate, Hubert came in to say that allows people to express their views without reprisal, encourages whistleblowers, and it might relieve the pressure for some people. I think I don't know if he was 100% agreeing, he was just throwing in the counter.
I think there's always an exception to everything, isn't there? There is always it's never, life is never black and white. There's always little grey areas. So yes, good point, Hubert.
Yeah, I still think we'd be better off without anonymity on social media.
I think if you can't put your name to it, it depends what it is. If it is really sensitive, I think it would stop all these, leaked emails to the press, etc., because obviously that's a disgruntled employee who doesn't agree with what the employer's doing, and so therefore they're releasing something, and because they become anonymous, nobody knows who they are. Now that isn't right in my case. If you want to disagree with somebody, you do it face to face to that employer. You're not behind their backs. That's undermining their the whole thing. And don't forget who pays your paycheck as well.
Okay, no comment from me on that front. What's this about Hubert saying? Dawn said there's always more questions than answers.
I think there are. You start questioning people and then they answer, then you get another question and it just goes on and it just sort of like snowballs, and before you know it, sometimes they can't answer, which is fair enough, but there are more. I've always believed that there are more questions in this world than answers. I mean, yes, I do agree with Hubert that you go onto Google and have a little look these days, and quite a few things. But I also talk to people if I don't know something, and I say, "Oh, have you come across this beforehand, etc." I haven't been doing much of that lately, but I mean, I tend to sort of like ask people I feel comfortable with.
I think there's more answers than questions. You could say, what are the top 1,000 records ever sold? And the answers, there's 1,000 of them. So it's going to take some doing to balance that with questions, isn't it?
But you've got no detail, you dipstick. God. Like, you haven't even answered the question. You just said you've just agreed that there are 1,000 top records. I mean, I just want to. I want to go and cut my throat at the moment.
Here's a couple of. Okay, relieve the tension. Here's a couple of jokes come in to test your sense of humour. People from Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but those from Abu Dhabi do. Those from Abu Dhabi do.
Yeah, I get the joke. Honestly.
I said to the wife, "What's wrong with our kids? They're nothing like me." She said, "No, they're more like their father."
See, that's cruel.
Yeah, it's cruel. Yeah, Steve Fury. These jokes, those were crikey. I like the Abu Dhabi do. Don't know that.
You would do. That's so round about your sense of humour.
Right, subject. You were giggling at Michael and Jack Whitehall last night, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I find them quite funny. It's the, it's a typical father son. The father pretends that he hates the son, and he doesn't really. But it's and Jack's such a. I have to say, he's a complete idiot in the way he behaves most of the time. So I should imagine his father's quite frustrated.
Well, I just thought I'd mention that you have got a sense of humour. Right.
Oh, it's lacking at the moment, I'm
We're
telling
going
you.
to test you out. We're coming out of lockdown. Things are changing. There's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Still big doubts across lots of people. I've picked 4 indoor places and 4 outdoor places. And you've got to say, would you be happy and comfortable going in amongst them now without any, obviously personal protective equipment, but a barbecue with 12 friends outside.
I'd be happy to do that with 12 friends, but yeah.
Good. A dinner for 12 friends indoors.
I'd probably be, if we're out of lockdown and no social distancing.
Now I'm talking about.
Well, now, no, I wouldn't be doing that.
Why not?
Well, because it's
indoors. Forget the rules. I mean, from your own comfort point of view.
Oh, right. I haven't got any rules. Oh, right. Yeah, I would do that.
Right. An outdoor local sports event. Local sports event.
Yeah, I'm still sceptical about all of that. It's not. I have to say, it's not necessarily how I behave. It's how other people behave. I mean, I explained to you that some people don't know what social distancing is.
So you'd still want that to be going on there?
I'd still be wary. I think that's how I feel about it. I mean, I might go and see what it's like, but if there were I don't like crowds at the best of times, so you can imagine I'm wary anyway. There's always a thing in my head about, I don't want people too close to me.
So that's where you draw the line then. Okay.
Yeah.
An indoor sports event.
No, definitely not. I don't feel comfortable with that at the moment.
A pub?
If you said to me there's an injection and I could have an injection against coronavirus, I would be happy with both of those, but I'm still...
No, it's as it is now. As it is. Yeah.
No, I'm not happy with that.
No particular rules imposed on you. Your decision purely on just doing it. All right?
No, I wouldn't do that.
No injection. You haven't got any injection or a tablet or anything. Going to a pub garden or having an outdoor coffee.
Yeah, I'd feel comfortable with that, providing there weren't massive crowds. I mean, if they're a massive crowd, I'd get in the car and go home and have a coffee in my garden.
Okay. Going to a restaurant or a pub indoors?
No, I definitely wouldn't be wanting to go to do that for some time now. I don't know why, but I just don't feel comfortable with it because I think it's because of that report like yesterday where America had eased the lockdown and these 10 friends had gone out for a drink and met a couple of more friends. 8 of them have tested positive for coronavirus and the 4 others were just waiting their test. Now, to me, that's a high percentage of the people that have got coronavirus for whatever reason. So as much as the owners of a restaurant or a pub can say, we've cleaned the place, etc., in the back of my mind there will always be a doubt.
Yeah. An outdoor big football match or rugby match?
Part of me would say I'd never go to football anyway, ever again, because I've done that when the children were younger, and I'm quite happy. That's my experience of football. I didn't really enjoy it. I endured it. So that's where I'm coming from. Rugby, I do like being in a rugby crowd because it is really friendly and it's completely different from a football crowd. But again, I would feel very uneasy about going and mixing with loads of people that I have no idea about. So I don't think I'd want to do that just yet.
That's right, good, yeah. And finally, going to a concert at the O2.
Well, the same answer from the last one, football and rugby. What's the difference when you're mixing with everybody from the O2, etc.? And it is about people's standard, etc. I might be gelling my hands, washing my hands constantly, but you only need one idiot who decides not to do that, who's got coronavirus, etc. He's determined to watch his favourite artist, and before you know it, you've got another outbreak. So no, I don't really want to go at the moment.
Interesting. So of the 4 outdoors, there's 3 you probably would do, and of the indoors, there's 1 of the 4 you probably would do. Interesting. Good. Be interesting.
You could turn it around and say what you would do as well.
Well, the only ones that I felt comfortable with was the barbecue for 12 friends and the outdoor local sports event. I didn't indoor just quite yet, any of the indoors, or the pub garden or the coffee. I didn't think, I wouldn't want to go to that particularly. I might have a coffee with a just like off gem or something like that, just one-on-one, but I wouldn't go.
Oh, you don't go and meet friends anyway, do you? You haven't got time. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you wouldn't go somewhere for a coffee. I think it just depends what it applies to you, how you live your life, doesn't it? But I mean, for instance, I'd take if my mum didn't have any restrictions, etc., I'd take my mum for a cup of coffee and have a chat.
Yeah. Right.
Outside.
I thought what we do now, it just came to me, is I'll play another note from the music to give the advantage to anyone who's bothered to listen to actually what we've been rattling on about.
Oh,
Funny.
Sneaky. Go on then.
I'm going to try and go to 4 seconds.
4 seconds. Oh, blimey.
As the vicar said to the actress. Okay.
I think you got a couple of bars on it. It just sort of like faded out, but maybe that's okay. Over here, I'm listening it in my left ear as opposed to from here.
I might cut that bit then. We'll see. Okay then.
Cheerio. It's probably distorted. Bye then. See you later.
Yeah, bye.